David, get a,
Fast too, yeah.
You might get 3 or 4.
That's it, yeah.
Turns red.
Yeah, the question was if we had to be physically here for quorum, would they be allowed to vote and not just participate discussion-wise? If I can't vote from home, you know. So. Mm-hmm. Is Heather here tonight, or?
You guys see that Lourdes is in now?
Yes, we do.
We can see her.
We're waiting on Edwina and, I guess if someone.
Unmute. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. Stop. Stop. Damn.
Same area. Heather Kreller or 4 others.
Hello?
You wanna
I think I just sat in
switch
some-
the nameplate?
Yeah, sorry about that.
Do we have to wait on legal, or? Oh, okay. As long as we don't ask the landscape architect any legal questions, I guess we'll be good. All right, we're going to go ahead and call the February 4th Design Review Board meeting into order. First item on the agenda is to approve the December 3rd DRB minutes. Has anyone had a chance to review those minutes? Any discussion or motions?
Glance that on
Motion to approve. This is Lee.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second? Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, we're all microphones. Oh, Edwina's not. Oh. been a while. All right. Tim, are there any announcements today? Okay. Next item on the agenda, Coast Furniture, Inc. building sign.
Yes, hi, this is Tim Brown with Walton County Planning Development. This sign is a result of code enforcement. They put the sign up without getting it approved. This is a scenic quarter sign application requesting approval of a building sign measuring 288 inches by 24 inches for a total of 48 square feet on 0.531 acres with a future land use of mixed use and a zoning of coastal center. This sign is compliant. It is compliant with our regulations. With that, I would ask that the staff report be entered into the record and take any questions the board may have.
Any discussion? We just have the one photograph in the packet.
Yeah, he didn't provide us with
Very
very good
much.
information, and he told me he would not be at this meeting. He had no intentions of attending.
Okay.
Really?
I'm sorry you don't have better information to go on, but that's all that he would provide us.
Is the sign internally lit? It says illumination LED.
Yeah, it's internally lit, yes.
So Tim, there's no one there for the applicant?
No, there is not.
And I guess,
And my comments are probably not, difficult to, we won't have a response to them. I see that the sign does meet code. I don't love the way it looks. It looks crammed into the space on the building. So, it'd be nice if someone were here for the applicant and we could discuss whether there were some potential improvements. But I guess since it's already up, they really wouldn't make them anyway. And since they refuse to attend the meeting, that's not a good sign either. But it's too big for the space that it's occupying, and it overlaps that, looks like is that a window below it?
I believe that's
Or,
an
big
I believe that's an
windows over that door, I guess.
Yeah, I can't tell from this picture, but I believe that's the entrance to the building, or an entrance to the building.
Do we know how long the
No.
sign has been up?
No, I don't, because it took him a long time from when code enforcement cited him till we could get him to submit an application, and a complete application. I think it's been a while. I think it's been up there for 3 or 4 months or longer. We're having the same issue with the monument sign because he just changed out the tags. I, as staff, can approve the monument sign, but we still haven't got him to upload a complete application yet, so I can try to approve it.
Is this that old Miller's Furniture location?
Yes. Yeah, they went through, well, they said they were going out of business, but then they just changed the name and opened right back up.
Oh, it's the same ownership.
Yeah, it is. Well, I think it's his brother. It's still a Miller, but I don't think it's the one that owned the previous business. Now it's his brother, but it still is the Miller family.
Was this previous sign for Miller's in this location? Do we?
Yeah, it was. It was in this location. They just took the old sign down and put the new one up. I think it said Miller Furniture. Now it says Coast Furniture. I think that's the only difference. I mean that.
I don't remember the
been a
old
while, but
sign. Yeah, how it compared size-wise.
Honestly, I don't either. I guess I probably should have looked that up because it did come before this board and get approved, I don't know, 2.
Okay.
But sorry, no, I don't know what the comparison is either, but I know it is in the same location.
I might be able to pull it up.
It looks like they previously had the signage done by an awning. That looked a lot more appropriate on the building.
Yes. If you Google map it, it comes up, the picture comes up as the old one, and, yeah, you're exactly right, it was on an awning and it looked much better. It wasn't crammed up in that little space above that entryway.
Probably not internally lit like this one is also.
Oh, yeah, if it was on the awning, it probably was not.
No,
You might-
it was just painted on, painted straight on the awning.
Oh, yeah. I do actually remember that sign now. Looks like they've
Yeah.
taken all the character out of the building by painting the building solid white.
I just think this sign just takes away from that building big time.
Was the building color change, a part of the application as well, or part of the code complaint?
No, and honestly, I don't know, because I'm not out there all the time. I don't know when buildings get painted, but they are supposed to get them approved. I mean, they're supposed to
Well, this is
request.
significant. So looking at the picture of the Miller's furniture, all of the trim work around the windows, all of the detailing, was a contrasting color to the background of the building. So that whole character of that building has changed. I guess that's why I didn't recognize the photograph. So I was curious because I know that's should have, I guess, be part of a submittal for that as well.
Well, what they do is they write a letter requesting the change in color, and they give me the Munsell color that they're going to, and as long as it's an approved color, I'll approve it. Honestly, I don't know if they did that with this building or not, because I haven't gotten that many.
Yeah.
I probably because of COVID, but I mean, for a while I was getting several over the course of a year, but in the last year I've only got 2, maybe 3. I have gotten some requests.
My guess is they probably painted the building at the same time they changed the sign.
I would guess that as well. And probably to differentiate it from Miller Furniture, even though it's still the same family, it's Sam Miller. They supposedly went bankrupt and went out of business.
Do we have I know we have a secondary, primary color, a secondary color. There's a requirement that it has the 2 colors, or is that just a
No, I don't think it's a
suggestion?
requirement. It just, if you are going to do that, then you have to choose from those colors. We have primary colors
and
and
the
we have
accent.
accent colors.
Yeah.
I'll say my concern with this exhibit is, I mean, we're going off a hand sketch. If it's 150 feet, it's 24 foot long by 24 inches tall. I mean, typically you'd see something done by a professional sign
Yep.
company to make you feel a little bit better that that's actually, it is what it is, but.
Yeah, he did
Yeah,
did
I know he
this
said,
himself.
yeah, so,
Well, the signage company still installed it, and I'm sure in their quote, they probably still
They should.
provided the exhibit.
yeah.
Um,
And that sign has been up for about 4 months, because I go by there quite frequently,
Yeah,
at least 4 months.
I was thinking
Yeah.
4, maybe 5
It could
months.
be.
I know it's been a while.
Yeah.
Because he turned it in quite a while ago, but it wasn't a complete application, and we won't do anything with it until it's complete.
Right.
So it's been in our system for a while, but he just recently got it complete where I could move forward with it.
Mm.
Plus, with no quorum, this was what we had last
It
month.
wa-
We
yeah.
just didn't take action
It
on it,
was.
so that was another month right there.
Right.
Well, the whole thing's problematic, putting it up without approval. They had a history of violating the outdoor display of merchandise code language prior to this in the old location. And just refusing to attend the meeting and giving us shoddy, documentation doesn't feel good. Especially, if I love the look of it, I might feel differently, but I don't think it looks good on this building. Have those of you that seen it in person, I have not been by there since it's been up. Can you comment on whether it looks okay?
Well, to me, it's hard to see because it's right at the bottom of the overhang. I mean, it's just, to me, I can't see it unless I really look at it. you know, going by. And not that I look at it every time I drive by there. But, I mean, it is crammed. I mean, it's tight up there. It's not, to me, it's not appealing either with where it's located. It's just not something I think that we would like in our scenic corridor.
Yeah, I agree. Well, since nobody's here to have a discussion with the applicant, Tim, what are our options?
Well, I don't think it'll do any good to continue it because he made it clear to me that he had no intentions of coming to this, because I told him, we need someone there in case there's questions. And he's like, I'm not coming, so I don't think continuing it will accomplish anything. So I guess you just have the option of either approving it as presented or denying it and us taking code enforcement action.
Okay.
But the code enforcement action would be, he put it up without approval, and we're
Yeah.
gonna deny it, so,
That's
or if we did deny it.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's never been approved. It's an unapproved sign.
And Tim, he can bring it back, modify it and bring it back and ask for approval at any point in the future, correct?
Yes, he would just have to redo everything, pay a new fee in it, because once you all take action, then you start over from scratch. But yes, he can modify it and bring it back.
And you said his monument sign is not in compliance either, right? It
But he
hasn't been
hasn't given me
approved.
enough information.
Okay,
They switched out the text. They took out off Miller Furniture and they put on Coast Furniture, but he just hasn't given me enough information where I can make a determination whether it's compliant. I mean, just to
Okay.
eyeball it, I would say no, it's over the copy area limit. But like I say, that's just eyeballing the sign.
There's been no application or,
Well, there is an application, but it's not complete.
not on the monument sign, on any paint changes to the building. There's been no letter to you or application
Not
for
that I recall. I would have to go back and look, but I don't recall this getting approved.
Okay.
The paint color, is
Yeah.
that what you're talking about right now?
It is.
I mean, I would approve it because it's white. It's an approved color, but I don't recall
Yeah.
For the entire
receiving.
facade to be white, though, without the,
But the thing is too, you would approve a lot of things, but that's not the way they're supposed to do it. They're supposed to get approval.
Right, right. But I'm just saying, I would have approved it because it's an approved color.
okay.
Because
Now, when it comes to color, if someone, as long as their color choices are, if they submit 3 colors, as long as they are from the approved list, do we get a chance to look at how the colors are utilized?
not if it's just to repaint the building, no. We put that provision in the code so they wouldn't have to come back every single time. You know, if they're doing any kind of exterior modification, then it has to come back. But if it's just to repaint the building a different color, as long as it's an approved color, I have and I will approve it.
Because the reason I ask is, like, looking at this, they took the entire building, all of the banding detail, all of the window surrounds, and they basically whited them all out. Not being, I kind of want to go by this and see it in person, because with this one picture we provided that's not good quality.
No, it's not good quality at all.
Kind of see the top cornice detail of that. I can't tell what it's even made of, but possibly had they not left it the previous dark color, and it being the only dark color item left on the building, if it was white, possibly you could take this text that's already sitting directly on top of the window, raise it up, if all of that was white, so that text wasn't completely jammed between a dark cornice and the window. Because right now, that's the problem. It looks like they took the maximum allowed or the biggest text they could fit and squeezed it on the building, and just looks wrong. And with us being
Yeah.
basically an aesthetic review committee, it sounds like everyone agrees that it doesn't look right.
Square peg, round hole.
Yeah, it's also a little concerning to me that the paint schematics can be changed at any point after we approve it, because that's a pretty large design feature. And I think, you know, if you're talking about going from this shade of white to that shade of white just because they need to repaint the building, it's aged and needs to be redone, that's one thing. But changing something as dramatic as even this, where, you know, you're taking out all of that detailing just by painting the sash white around the windows, all the trim work, I think it completely changes the aesthetic. And that's concerning to me, that would be a staff level approval for something that could be so dramatic and not just, you know, I can totally see it if, you know, it's just been 5 years, the building needs to be repainted, it's similar, but they couldn't find the exact same color match, or they wanted to just freshen it. But I think that changing the color schematic could be problematic. Just my 2 cents.
I agree.
So,
I do too, Kelly, and especially thinking about how much we've, you know, worked with applicants in the past with their color scheme, and, you know, asked them to make changes, asked them to go to fewer different colors. You know, there have been all kinds of things that we've worked with applicants on, and they've made changes, and I think I mean, I'm biased, but I think the board has had very good input and have made some good changes. And then the thought of somebody being able to just come back and change all of that without it coming before us, I agree, concerning.
well, I don't know that, you know, if there's too much more discussion on this one, or if someone wants to make a motion, what direction we want to take here. I think that Tim's made clear our options: to approve as presented, to deny the application, so the applicant would have to make a new application if they want to have this reconsidered, or continuing it, which may or may not accomplish the same thing.
Based on the look of it right now, the lack of, I think, overall thought of how that would look on the building, the lack of their participation in the process, and ignoring the system in place, I would motion to.
Okay, we have a motion to deny. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, looks like unanimous on that one then.
Kelly,
Yes.
do we need to take public comment?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Do we have anyone from the public to speak on this one? Okay, not seeing any hands, nothing on Zoom. All right. Let's move forward to the next item on the agenda. All right, Tim?
Yes. Tom Thumb, number 160 Forest View Amendment. This was approved, but it was approved late last year, October, November, somewhere in that time frame. Now they're coming back to amend it. So this is a minor development application submitted by McNeil Carroll Engineering, requesting approval to add 225 square feet to the building, add additional employee parking, change the building color, and add additional signage to the building on 2.02 acres with the future land use of commercial and a zoning of general commercial. The only deficiency is they've added directional signs to their sign plan, and those were not included in their master signage plan that was approved, and they're only allowed as part of the master sign plan. So it has nothing to do with specifically with the amendment, but in order to utilize those directional signs, they're going to have to amend their current master signage plan. So with that, I'd request the staff report be entered into the record, and I'll take any questions you may have. And the applicant is here to discuss this project.
Tim, when you say directional signage, you're referring to the fast food drive-in?
Enter,
signs?
exit,
Okay.
yes. Because they're keeping the same number of signs on the building, but they are, Pizza Hut is out. Pizza Hut is no longer going to that location. So they're adding the EG, because before they dropped the EG in favor of the tenants. Well, now that Pizza Hut is not a tenant, they're adding the EG, but it's the same number of signs that was previously approved. They're just switching out one for the other.
Oh,
So for just clarification, since this is before us and it's been approved, are we only voting on what they're requesting to add?
Yes,
Or-
I mean, they're required to provide the signage up front.
Okay.
This board wants to see it at the front end, not the back end. So that's why I commented that in order, these directionals are compliant, but in order to utilize them, they have to add them to the master sign plan, which that's not currently there. So they're gonna have to come back with that and amend it. So it's not what you're taking action on tonight.
Okay.
But in order for them to utilize these signs, they're gonna have to bring that master sign plan back to this board and amend it to add them.
Okay.
And was that something that could have run concurrently with this application?
Yes,
Okay.
but they didn't
Choose to make the,
they didn't have it ready in time.
so the approval tonight, if it is approved tonight, this master sign plan approval is basically just cleanup for,
Yeah, I mean, if, you might want to include in your motion that you're approving it excluding the directional signs.
Did we approve the EG group on the monument sign, the EG on top of there, on top of Tom Thumb?
I'm not sure. I'd have to look at the previous, I just looked to make sure it was compliant. I really can't remember if that was on there or not.
Edwina, are you looking at it on that first page of the plan set?
Yeah.
So the question, and I'm a little bit confused because if you scroll down further into the plan set, I know that, is Robert Carroll there?
Yes.
yes.
I'm sure he'll explain all this to us, but we really, let me not speak for the whole board. What I need is for somebody to walk us through this plan set and tell us exactly what is changing and where.
And I think that would be a good exercise anyway, since we do have new board members who didn't approve this the first time, so.
Yes, I agree with that too, because if you scroll down, like I said further, there's a totally different looking monument sign, on sheet A000, and it looks like they might be planning to go with that instead of the old, but I'm not sure, so it'd be great when somebody can walk us through it, all of it.
All right, good evening, Robert Carroll, McNeil Carroll Engineering, 17800 Panama City Beach Parkway. We have been here before, had this completely approved, and they were going to go to construction, and then decided EG America is the master corp. There's Cumberland Farms, that's another one of their corps, Tom Thumb, so they own all these entities underneath it. So EG is the parent company. Originally, it did have the Burger King and the Pizza Hut with the one fast food out, because they could put their logo. They've always wanted the EG on there, but I think the sign company, that was back in the day when we ran them separately. So we came before you one time, were approved, but the sign company, I think, came 3 to 4 times. And I think it was because of getting some of these emblems removed. Anyway, they finally agreed not to put the EG. Now they want the EG on there. So talk about the site first. So what we've done regarding the site aspect is added the parking in the rear, which is employee only. They just feel with the fast food and with the number of employees they need, that they wanted to make sure there was adequate parking. They weren't spilling out into the roadway. So they thought it was a good time before they started construction to go ahead and add the additional parking. By adding the parking, we of course had to increase the landscaping. So therefore it increased.
So, Robert, can I stop you for 1 second
Ma'am,
and ask a question? Good to see you, by the way.
you as well.
Is there a set of plans in the beginning of our plan set that is the old plan, and then if you scroll down several pages, you get to a new one? I'm looking at the site plan, and I think that's what's happening, because the second one I come to of sheet A000 shows that parking in the rear. So is that what we're looking at here?
Yes, ma'am. We did not include any of the old stuff because since they were increasing the square footage of the building, they went ahead and reevaluated some of the colors. I don't think that any of them changed dramatically, but they all meet the code now with your Munsell colors. But while they were resizing this building and adding the parking, they did modify some of the colors. What the color changes are, I'm not sure. I think there were a couple of the elements were a little bit darker before. I think on the drive-through area. But I did not provide because we kind of started over, so we didn't give you a compare and contrast.
I'm just confused because there are two sheet A000s in our packet, and one of them shows a monument sign that's very pointed and modern looking in black, and it has the EG logo at the top, and it also shows a site plan with no parking in the back. But then if I flip through several pages back, there's a second sheet A000 that shows a totally different looking monument sign, not as modern with the stonework at the bottom and fewer logos. And then the site plan on that second A000 shows the parking in the back.
So that's the most current one. So what had happened before, they didn't comply with the sign that had too much square footage on the sign. So when we re-uploaded the new one, I don't know how you got seeing an extra copy, but the one with the parking in the back should be the latest.
I think the old one's just in there, maybe for comparison purposes for us.
They're a month apart on the dates. The stamp date is December on the one, and it's January on the second sheet.
The old one.
So they're just a month apart, so I don't know if.
So
I like the new signage.
The
new
newest date
monument
would
sign
be the
design,
current.
much better.
So I don't know when the PDF was being consolidated, that may have just gotten.
If you can see the newer date, that would definitely be the newest one.
Yeah, so if you look at the stamp date, Lee, the one that's showing the parking is the more current stamp date, so that's the one that he's referring to.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, I just needed to be completely clear.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah.
Because we were scheduled for last month, and prior to that, they were not in compliance, and they were debating about whether to seek a variance or not, and we directed them that it's better not to seek variances and just stick with the code. So we're here before you with code compliant plans, color compliant, asking approval.
So Robert, just for my clarification purposes, what we've got today is the design of the monument sign is completely different. You've added the parking in the rear, fine, it's great. The hut sign on the front of the building has now turned into an EG sign.
Yes, ma'am.
And what else? What other change? Oh, and building colors are a little different, you said, but
yes, ma'am.
Pretty much
Changed
the same.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
And now, because
Anything
we
else?
already had a previous master sign plan, the sign company is coming back to add those directional signs within it to get that previous master signage plan reapproved.
And
You'll
we
have
just-
those directionals in there, and it'll show that monument sign as well. The master sign will have.
Is there
all
no
of those.
change in the number of signs proposed?
That's correct, Lee. There's no change in the number of signs proposed.
Okay. Let me ask a curiosity question. I'm looking at the sheet is this A200. That rendering from the front is sort of askew. There are all those little white bollards across the front of the building. I'll see what I'm talking about.
Yes.
What are those for?
Because your concrete is level all the way from the parking space to the front door, so there's no tripping hazards, so therefore you put a bollards up there. A lot of times you'll see the U-shaped, like a horseshoe.
Yep.
These are just straight. They're concrete bollards, just to protect the store, so someone doesn't drive all the way through.
Could you use well stops instead?
They're just a tripping hazard. All the convenience stores, typically we do the U-shape. For whatever reason, EG has decided to go with a raised one instead.
I didn't notice this last time. I just, I'm being a little bit nitpicky. Bear with me. I just wish they weren't white. I actually think this is a nice looking facade on this building. Especially, no offense, but especially for a gas station. And I wish those bollards blended in a little better.
As in
I don't know
color?
if they would consider picking a color out of the facade and sending them that, or ordering them something closer to that or not, but that's nitpicky, no big deal. Just a little suggestion.
Hmm.
I tend to agree with you, Lee.
Yeah,
I think they sort of like are just, they're too bright for the palette of the building facade.
mm-hmm.
I think the traditional Tom Thumb ones are red. That's what you typically see.
Oh, I don't want that.
Yeah,
I'll take the white over
yeah.
red.
Yeah.
I think every other Tom Thumb you
Well,
go
I
to,
think
you'll see
it
it.
can, but it wouldn't show that much, but.
Yeah.
And I don't think
I
that you're
think-
not seeing the landscape bed that's in front, in the rendering either. So if you look at the landscape plan, there's two sections of shrubbery that are in front of that facade, because there's a requirement that a certain percentage of that commercial facade have, landscape bed in front. So that it's not quite as stark, I think, as the rendering may have made it appear, because you will have that softened, the bollards will be placed inside of a landscape bed for about 50, maybe 40% of that facade, and then there'll be landscape just on the other side of the sidewalk a little bit further down. So that might help
Okay.
with softening that up.
Do we have a landscape here?
Yes. It's,
Yes, it's way down. Sheet L1.
I mean, the way those bollards, are they gonna be like the steel tubes built poured with concrete? So they're gonna be painting them regardless. So if we just ask them to paint them the London fog color they're using elsewhere in the building,
And I assume that they're
Imagine
just
they would
standard
care.
paint. Because they repaint those red ones all the time,
Okay.
because they get nicked.
scratching them, yeah.
that's a good suggestion.
Yeah, that'd be a request. I mean, it's not code issue, but it would be an aesthetic improvement, I think, if they're willing to do it.
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, I see the landscaping now. Well, I don't think the landscaping is gonna cover them.
I don't think it's gonna cover them. They're still gonna be in front of the landscaping, but I think it's gonna soften the approach to the building, that it's not gonna feel quite as stark as just the bollards in front of glass.
Yeah. But the bollards are still gonna jump out at you.
Yes, but I think if we ask them to paint them the color Jonathan recommended, that'll help blend in with the landscaping.
Yeah,
I do too.
I mean, it's such a nice facade to be, that it's a shame to, to miss that one point. So a little bit more paint.
Any additional questions or commentary, discussion?
Just for clarity, I mean, EG is acceptable to go on a signage? I mean, it's not a tenant, it's an owner. That was where I was kind of getting confused.
They can, the sign face doesn't have it's just a square footage requirement.
Okay, so you can put anything on it, basically, is what we're getting to. Okay.
Well, it had 3 signs previously. Now, and it still has 3 signs, so that's why I looked at it as not an issue.
Okay.
They will need to add that to switch it out in their master sign plan, because they show Pizza Hut, but it's compliant, and the way the code is, each business can have a name. So you got Tom Thumb, you got Burger King, and then not a tenant, but, you know, they're the owner.
They're
But the
the
way
owner.
I looked at it
Okay.
was there was 3 signs previously, there's 3 signs now.
Okay, all right,
But they will have to add that to their master sign. plan.
okay, all right.
And they've already engaged them to get that coming as soon as we can move past this. They're anxious to go to construction for the second time.
And it's a shame they couldn't have come in concurrent. That would have been an easy vote
Yes, ma'am.
to bundle them together. Any additional discussion? Anyone care to make?
My
a-
only question is, who will take our suggestion on the different color for the bollards to the applicant? Is that Robert or staff or what?
You tell us what color it needs to be. I mean, yeah, just make it a condition.
Yeah, Tim's suggesting it would be a condition of the motion, so that would be Tim delivering.
That fire hydrant yellow you want, Lee?
No.
Color of the facade.
Yeah, I think, the suggestion made earlier is fine. What did you say it was, London fog or
Was
something?
Benjamin Moore, 1541 London fog is what's used on the building.
Oh, that's good.
Just for clarity, I would include in the motion that you're excluding the directional signs.
Yes.
I don't know what color that is, but we love that color, so we will go with that color.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Anyone care to make a motion or any additional discussion? Do we have?
I'll make a motion to approve this fleet excluding the directional signs. And also, with the condition that the bollards be, the color of the bollards be changed to the London fog color that's on the facade. Any other conditions I'm missing?
Those are the two I had written.
Okay.
I second.
We have a motion, a second. Is there any public discussion, any additional audience discussion? All right, seeing none. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, motion passes. Thank you. All right.
Loris, did you second that last motion? I thought Lee made the motion and you seconded it.
I second it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Tim, final item?
Yep. Saltaire PUD. This is a major development order application submitted by O'Connell and Associates requesting approval of a detailed plan unit development to construct 34,200 square feet of commercial development, 256 apartment units, a driveway connection to Highway 98, and associated infrastructure on 24.5 acres with the future land use of mixed use and a zoning of village mixed use and small neighborhood. And kind of similar to that, what we just went through, they're showing type 1 directional signs. I'm sorry, the type 2 directional signs and the community wayfinding signs, and I think they have something to hand out where they remove them, but what's in your packet is type 2 directional signs are only allowed if the project is on both sides of Highway 98. This is only on one side, so that would not allow for the type 2. The community wayfinding signs are for businesses that are located off of 98 that you can't see from the road. So that would not be allowed either. But the project itself is compliant. And like I said, I think they have something to hand out showing just the type 1 and the kiosk directionals. Now, they only are allowed with a master sign plan, so they're going to have to come back and approve a master sign plan. So we should probably do something similar that you'd be excluding the directionals and the kiosk signs from this approval if you move forward with approving it. With that, I would request the staff report be entered into the record, and I'll take any questions you may have. This is a large project. But the applicant is here to go over it with you.
Okay, do we want to hear from the applicant then? Yep.
John Nash with O'Connell and Associates Consulting Engineers. We're the engineer and the agent on this project. We also have on Zoom representatives from the Elm Studio. They are the architect and the landscape architect for this project, and we have questions. If we have questions for them, they're available to answer those. As Tim said, this is a technical development order for a previously approved conceptual master plan. That conceptual master plan was approved last Thursday by the BCC, and this plan is the more detailed plan of that conceptual plan that complies with both that conceptual plan and the requirements of the scenic corridor. As Tim said, there was a couple of issues with the signage plan where we were forced to make some revisions after your inserts were submitted, and we have additional revised versions of those here. We'd like to submit those to y'all if you'd like to look at them. I don't know exactly what was removed from there. I believe they removed a couple of signs that would have to be included as part of the master sign plan, but if we have questions about that, Elm can speak to that. With that, we're here available to answer any questions, and we would ask that you approve this development. Yes, I would think so. This replaces the signage plan that was in your packet.
Get in that digital so
I
they can
think
see
we'll
it.
have to hold it up maybe to the camera, and so
Yeah.
And-
You don't have a,
Mr. Nash, do you have that in a digital format that we could perhaps email it to Laura's?
I do. And it might be just as easy to, for the Elm guys to give an explanation of what's happened here, because I believe what's happened is just some signs that were submitted previously were removed from that plan. So it might also be able to be described in that manner. If I have it here on this.
okay.
Right. So they had some type 2 directionals and community wayfinding that was removed from that plan. So if you look at those, I believe there were 5 signs or something on the second page, and 2 of those types were removed. But I do have it here if y'all want me to email it to somebody. If I can figure out.
Are we gonna have a few minutes before, while we're getting that signage, documentation to us?
Lee, I can make it kind of easy for you. If you'll scroll to page AS02, Signage Elevations. It looks like it's sheet 176 out of the total package, if you have the whole, tonight's whole PDF. What they've submitted to us is this sheet with the first 2 sign types removed, looks like. Pedestrian kiosk sign J, which is the first one presented, is still there. And then the next sign is gone, that's I2. And then L, the community wayfinding sign, is gone. So two of those 5 are gone.
Okay. I was just gonna move on to something else if we're waiting, but just for the moment, but if not, that's fine. As long as you say it fixed it, the part that wasn't code compliant, I'm good.
Well, and I believe the new version's getting emailed to you now, from the online CitizenServe version that was submitted.
I haven't gotten anything, but I'm okay with that. Okay. Where am I? Get back in there. Okay. I don't know that I have the signage plan.
It's almost the last
Yes.
page of the set.
Yes, wait, no, I have, no, hold on. Got it. I've got some signage notes and renderings, drawings, schematics, whatever. So you said that's AS02 signage elevations?
Yes.
Is that the extent of the signage documentation that we have, that one page?
There's also a retail elevation page, which is AS03, which is the next one down. And then tonight, they have included the signage map key. I don't see that in our set, but that's AS01. Maybe I just missed it. Go back.
Oh, yeah, I see it. It was in our packet.
Okay, yep, there it is. Yep, so it's just the revision to remove the sign types that are not allowable.
Okay. So while we're talking signage, Neil, right? Are you still at the
It's
podium?
John Nash, who's here for O'Connell and Associates.
Oh, the only comment I'll make about signage, this all looks good to me. The only comment I'll make is that one of the challenges we've had in the past, I'm looking at the renderings, the retail elevations, and where you have multi-bay tenant spaces, that a tenant could take more than one space. Well, let me ask you this. Let me start over, because if the answer to this is a certain answer, it's going to make my point moot. Where this signage is going on these buildings, is there anything that would limit the placement of it? Because what we've had in the past is, say you've got a stretch with two tenant bays that are right together. And sometimes a tenant will come in and take two spaces. If there's a built-in element to the wall, the facade, say a frame around where the sign would go that's built into the wall, or lighting above it, which I think I see some here. Sometimes they'll have to put, they can only have one sign per tenant, which needs to be spelled out in the plan, unless they're on a corner. They'll be in a situation where they can't center the sign over the multi-bay space, or there's some element there that makes it look blank when there's not when there's not a sign there. So we've done this before once we realized this was an issue, where there's some language added to the master signage plan that prohibits that from happening. I don't know what other way to say it. So where these tenant signs on the building facade go, is there an element there that would look weird, let's say, if there weren't a sign there? Or are you able to center the signage over a multi-bay space? Are you following me? I'm sorry.
I'm understanding your question. I'm not sure that I can answer it. If the Elm guys are here, they might be able to speak to that. Noah and Willie, are y'all able to speak to that? Sure.
Looks like they're raising their hands. Elm Studio
Probably
or Willie?
Noah. Or Eon Studio would work. Maybe they all three want to speak.
Okay. So it looks like, do we give permission to the first one, the Elm Studios?
This is Russ. Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you please state and
Oh.
spell your full name?
Sure. This is Russ Irvin with ELM Studio in Jacksonville. We're at 1035 Kings Avenue, Jacksonville, Florida 32207. So, in regards to the signage in the buildings, we purposely designed the buildings, the commercial frontage buildings, to where if they didn't have a single sign on them, which that won't be the case, but they would still be architecturally appealing. In other words, if a sign was missing, you would not notice it, is the way it's crafted together. At the same time, it's been crafted to maximize as many signs. Every tenant bay is about 20 feet. And so in the event that every single bay were occupied, it could also handle signage for each one of those bays for maximum flexibility. So the end result is, whether or not we have every bay filled, or 15% of them, or however it works out, the multiplier, it would not look awkward architecturally where those signs are placed. So we purposely did not create frames where it would look like something's absent if it did not have a sign.
Okay. So I think my suggestion is that we just make sure we get language added to the master signage plan that says there's only one sign per tenant unless they are on a corner. Because what we've had happen in the past is a tenant will occupy more than one bay, and all of a sudden they've got two signs there side by side over each bay, if it's two bays, let's say. So we need something in the signage plan that prohibits that from happening. That's my suggestion.
I was just whispering with Tim because I believe there's a requirement in the code that makes it clear that we can't have more than one sign per tenant. So I don't know if we need to add that to the signage plan, although I'm sure we're willing to do that. But I think the code's pretty clear in that regard.
Well, but a master signage plan overrides the code. So that's where it's become a problem on a couple of developments in the past.
I'm looking at the two bays in Shell C North elevation. If each bay is 20 and 20 and set the awnings, and you have, a sign, if those were two separate rentals, then it'd be okay. But if it were one single rental, if you put the signage on either place, it's gonna look like something's missing.
I think if you go to the rendering,
I'm wondering if you would put it between the two, it would look, I don't know how it would look.
I think if you go to the next page, A07, they show that exact, that happening. If you look, A07 has.
Okay, A0, hold on. I'm looking at the signage, a page.
Lourdes, we got an email, Lourdes, that probably has that, I'm guessing. No, we only have
I didn't get an
01,
email.
02, and 03.
Yeah.
So I don't know what 07 is.
It's gonna be higher up in the package.
Yeah. What PDF number?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out, hang on a
That's all
second.
I'm doing.
Yeah, I only get to ASO3, that's the last page.
No, this was
Yeah,
part
me
of
too.
the regular package. I'm trying to find you a PDF page number.
I think it's around 100 maybe is where I'm at.
26 of 97 of a PDF ending in 0133.
A0133?
No, sorry.
What was
The PDF packet 0133. If you go down to page 25 or 26 of 97, they have a rendering that's showing that exact. I believe it's Shell's B and C rendering. It shows their signage and it shows it being left off of certain bays, and I think it looks appropriate.
Did you say page 27?
Page 20.
I
Here,
have it as page
six.
106 of the agenda packet in the
Oh,
PDF.
26, yes.
One,
It's,
106.
Salt Spa,
Mm-hmm.
and
I'm,
then,
I'm okay with that. I mean, you know, you can see with the lights up there, there are some spots without them. But what I want to make sure of is that there's some provision that says a multi-bay tenant cannot have multiple signs over each bay. We just had this happen before, so.
Yeah, as a blanket statement in our master sign plan, we are not requesting any variances or anything in regard to not following the signage code. So it is set up to comply with the code. So if every tenant can only have one sign by code, that's exactly what we would desire here.
Okay.
I have a question, kind of carrying on our signage discussion. On the directional signage, key map, there is, sign G at both of the entrances. And the entrance off Mall Drive appears to be semicircle walls, and not kind of the rectangular, double-faced, monument sign that is at the main entrance off 98. Is that a separate signage type that we're not seeing in our packet? Or is that somehow going to be integrated into extending the concrete to make that semicircle wall?
I don't have that in front of me, but I know the semicircular walls are landscape walls. They're not signage walls intended to create that entrance threshold and buffer and screen the parking field.
So the monument signage is not integrated with those walls, it's separate?
It is not, it's separate.
So it would still be the double-sided main identification signage that we're seeing in the packet?
That's correct.
See what you're saying, Kelly, because that all-out points right to that curved wall thing, what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, so I guess it's just in that general area, maybe in front of that wall.
Okay.
Right, or type G.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's probably on the lower arc. Isn't that, there's a square or a rectangle
That's what it
in
appears.
front of the
but there's-
arc that's below that, the arc that's pointed at? Is that where the monument sign would be? I'm looking at something big.
I see what you're saying.
I think that's something else.
Is anybody online that knows the answer to that question, where that type G sign will be exactly on Mall Drive entrance?
Yeah, I apologize. It is integrated into that wall on the one side.
Oh,
and
okay.
Not on the other wall. It is where it's pointing to.
So it would be it would just be the extension of that concrete base?
That's correct.
Is that okay, Kelly?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I just wanted to clarify.
Well, then on
Okay.
98 too, you have type G that's showing just a rectangle and not a,
That one matches the elevation.
that matches
Yeah.
the elevation, so
Mhm.
that's fine, okay.
It's fine for me, so.
Okay.
And then you guys deleted what I'm gonna call the multi-tenant monument sign, is that correct? In the new exhibit, you're not showing that? Which was
Yeah, you can't have them.
type L, so you're not gonna have a 10-foot monument sign.
It wasn't compliant with code, so that was removed.
That was removed, okay, got you, okay.
I believe the intent's going to be to come back with a master signage plan to incorporate some of those other sign elements that are required to be in a master sign plan to be approved separately.
Okay.
Oh, I couldn't hear very well, but did you say that that's probably gonna come back to us
I'm not familiar
later?
if that particular sign's going to come back. My understanding is that if any of those other signs that were in your original packet are going to be proposed, that we're going to need to separately apply for a master signage plan in order to get those approved as part of that process.
All right. Are we good with signage? Because I've got another topic I want to ask about.
Is
I
there,
don't want to move on before y'all are ready.
is there any signage that is specific to the multifamily residential that's separate? Because I just see the main community signage. I'm not seeing anything necessarily in front of the clubhouse or kind of specific to the multifamily piece. Is that also?
Russ, can you speak to that?
I can, and Willie may be able to help as well. My recollection is what was submitted was anything along Highway 98, or whatever was touching the overlay. But signage that was back on the clubhouse, for example, was out of the overlay area.
That's my interpretation of the code as well. Is that not correct?
Part of the development is in the scenic corridor, then all of it is.
Well, we revised that
Yep.
language.
That's correct.
It used to be where because I had a project one time that had 1,000 acres on the scenic corridor, and we didn't review the entire project as part of the
Well,
scenic
yeah,
corridor.
if there's buildings
Right.
beyond the 400 feet, that's true.
So we have buildings beyond the 400 feet in this case.
So you would be looking at the regular sign code, not the scenic corridor.
Okay. So they don't have to show that signage on their master plan?
Well, they should, but no, because
Because it's not reviewed by this?
by this board.
Okay.
That is true. If there's buildings that are beyond the 400-foot threshold, then they're considered out of the scenic corridor.
Okay.
So where does the code, the 400-foot corridor end approximately on this development?
It goes somewhere between buildings 5 and 6, through those buildings. I don't have the dimensions sitting here in front of me, but the front rectangle is a 9-acre parcel that is more than 500 feet deep, is my recollection.
Okay.
Lay on to your next question.
What?
Before I interrupted with my sign question, you said you had one more question before we, off of signage, unless
No,
there's any.
I have something that's not signage related, so I wanted to make sure y'all were done with signage.
I am now.
Okay. So my question is, and I apologize if it's in these plans somewhere, but we're limited to looking at these on a computer screen, and some of the type is very tiny. This is my thing, so I'll go ahead and do it. I don't want to disappoint my fellow board members. But is there any rooftop equipment on any of these buildings? Satellite dishes for cable or whatever, HVAC equipment? Where is the HVAC equipment? Second question.
I'm gonna let Russ speak to that.
Sure, so in response, all the mechanical equipment is on the rooftop and not on the ground.
Okay, so how is it screened? It can't be visible, and I see there are renderings that aren't showing, you can't see them from the street, but we've seen that before, and then when the actual buildings get built, they're there, and they're visible. So, or if there's somewhere that shows it in this plan set, direct me to it. How is that equipment screened because it cannot be visible from any side on the corridor?
Sure, we have parapet walls, and the roof then is lowered, and the mechanical's lowered behind the parapet walls.
Okay, I'll just make this general comment because I can't see it. Typically, we're trying to get applicants to dot that rooftop equipment in on an elevation so that we can see that it is completely covered. So it has to be completely not visible from all four sides. So we're having some not fun code cases coming up after the fact for some of these new developments that are not fun for anybody, the county or the applicant. So I would just say, please be sure that it is not visible from any direction.
Sure, and you're talking about from eye level, I assume?
Yes, from ground level, road, ground, you know.
Yep, no problem.
Okay.
Yeah, when I
So that, I think I would make that a condition of an motion to approve. We've done that a few times and it seems to work.
I know, I'd also mention that we're not asking for any deviations. We have full intention of meeting the code on this project, and that is definitely a code requirement. But I understand your concern. It has been a problem in the past, and it turns into a code issue. So if there's any way we can help comply with that or make y'all feel more comfortable, we're happy to do that.
I think if we make it a condition of approval, that's fine. And I know you do intend to. We've just had so many, and it's not stuff from the past, it's newer developments where in the last few years where they pop up even though they didn't show up in the plans. So it just takes some effort on the developer's part to make sure they don't show. That's great. That's fine. That's all my questions. If I can just real quick make a couple of comments. I love this development. I think y'all have done a phenomenal job on the design of this thing. If I weren't building a house nearby, I'd want to get one of these units. I've already picked out my floor plan and everything. It is, in my opinion, absolutely gorgeous. I love the color schemes. I love the simplicity of the color schemes. And they're very elegant. The design is beautiful. The amenities are extremely well thought out. I love that you have a dog spa or whatever that dog station is. Happen to be a dog fanatic. So, but that and many other things. The bridge is beautiful. I know you guys are doing a lot with pedestrian facilities and incorporating some connection. I heard that from the presentation. We don't have a whole lot of info about it here, but tying into the park and things like that. And I also think this is the development, correct, that you're taking over that recycling location and sprucing that up?
That's correct.
So all of those things are wonderful. If the signage is like the signage in these renderings, it's incredibly tasteful, the building signage. And I just wanted to say that. I just think you've done a phenomenal job. Well, you can tell me this on the landscaping side, and you may have some questions on the landscape plan, but I love it. I would just say use as much as you can use, you know, live oaks or what you know, indigenous stuff over palm trees. You can use palm trees. That's allowed in the code to some degree, but I just love the more indigenous look of live oaks and things like that. But I just think it's a gorgeous development. I love it.
I actually didn't have any questions on
I
the
tend to
landscape
agree.
plan. Yeah, it's a little heavier than what we tend to see. There's good foundation planting, which is always makes me happy to see. So I was pleased with it. So.
Well, I'll say thank you on behalf of the team. As y'all know, I'm an engineer and I draw boxes and squares. So anything in here that looks good has been done by the Elm Studio team, and they've done a phenomenal job.
It's beautiful. And it's not just the aesthetics, it's the design overall of the, you know, the amenities and the way the flow works through the development and the water features. I mean, it's beautiful.
Well, thank you very much. Is this being recorded?
It actually is.
We'll get a recording. Thank you very much.
You can hold me to it.
And if it makes you feel better, Lee, there is actually a very heavy amount of native material. It not necessarily reflective of just the rendering, showing a standard palm.
Great. It's beautiful. I love it.
So just to kind of circle back with what we're approving or could be approving, I have that excluding the kiosk and directional signage that was presented in our packet, that the rest of that would be included in our approval tonight, and that they would be coming back with a sign, potentially coming back with the master sign plan with some revisions in the future. Is that?
And I believe Lee had a couple of conditions she wanted to.
Yeah, the conditions, if anything, got put on, but as far as what the actual packet for approval would be. Any other questions or discussions from the board? Any?
No, I don't have anything. I like it. I think it's going to be great.
I don't see anyone else here, but do we have any public comments? No comments.
Sorry, but do we need to make clear somehow that these revised sheets that we've submitted tonight are part of the approval and replacing the previously submitted sheets? Make sense?
Yeah, this is Heather. In the motion, if you could be clear that the Exhibit A, that is the applicant's Exhibit A, or Exhibit 1 we're talking about, correct?
Correct.
If we could just make sure in the motion that somebody would reference the Exhibit 1 as being the controlling information.
Exhibit 1 or Exhibit A? How do you have it listed, Karen?
I think we called it applicant's Exhibit 1.
Yep, that's what you got. Okay. So that would be, if someone was making the motion, to have applicant's Exhibit 1 for signage, which it shows excluding the kiosk and directional signage. That's kind of coupled together. Okay.
I'll make a motion if you're ready.
I'm ready.
Since I gushed about the development, I think I ought to make a motion. I'll make a motion to approve with the condition that applicant's Exhibit 1 is accepted and replaces the signage plan that was with it, and with the original application, and that on the condition that all rooftop equipment is not visible from any direction throughout the development. That's appropriate. Is there anything else?
I think you covered.
So we
I'll second.
have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
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 We have approval.
Very much.
I think that's
Thank
the
you.
last item on our agenda, so go ahead and
Yeah.
adjourn tonight's meeting. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really nice.
Is that other parcel still the storage building?
Yes. The U-Haul.